Welcome to ComeonyespursTV. Today we are previewing the North London derby between Tottenham and Arsenal, taking place at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Sunday, the 15th of Jan, 4:30 kickoff GMT. With me today, I've got Andy from the other side. My guys on my side haven't turned up. I wonder why. And I can tell you for sure they're not running scared, so I'm sure something happened, so they couldn't make it. But in the meantime, come on, you Spurs. Welcome back. Like I said, this is ComeonyespursTV, where we discuss everything Spurs. We are previewing the North London derby taking place at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. With me, I've got Andy. If this is your first time on ComeonyespursTV, you can subscribe to the channel, like this episode, and also leave your comments on anything we may have discussed or you fancy. These also, if you also want to sort of be notified anytime we go live or we have a video come up, you can click on the bell button, which enables you to get notified anytime we post a video. I think there's an animation thing coming up which shows you how all of that works. You can see that below. Now that we've sorted out all of the in-house, all the housekeeping, back to Andy. Andy, welcome. How are you?
Very well, very well.
I know you've been here before. The last time we played you guys at the Emirates, you guys won 3-1. Not a great match from our perspective. Hopefully we can put that right when you guys come over. If you look at all the history, at least in the last few years, it's been like, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, North London derbies have been like, you guys win on your turf, we win on our turf.
Yeah.
So it's been like that. I mean, you guys haven't won. I mean, at ours for such a long time. I mean, almost almost 10 years now. Last time you guys won here. So, as you know, form goes out the window when you come to the North London Derby. But you guys are doing really well now, aren't you? I mean, top of the league. You've probably lost only one match so far this season. You've drawn one, and yeah, it's been quite a ride for you guys, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
How does it feel at the top? Don't rub it in, okay?
No, no, no. It's good to be there, but at the same time, it puts pressure on everybody, both the fans and the players. It puts a lot of pressure because every week you go in, you're just watching your back, what is going to happen, especially if the people you compete with didn't do well. You are very wary. Are you going to slip up? Are you going to lose? Then don't forget, once you do very well, even your home form is difficult to maintain because teams come with a lot of respect. They play a lot of players in their own 18-yard box, so you have to struggle to even get a win. They come to play with a lot of respect, and it makes the game very difficult. Very difficult. So let's hope. I see this London derby very interesting because both sides have things to prove, and it sets the platform for to elicit great performance beyond now. In other words, Tottenham season can climb from here till the end of the season. At the same time, Arsenal can have that additional confidence to say we can do well till the end of the season. Both teams are not a bad team. I tell you, not a bad team. We respect one another. If there is any team in the Premiership I fear most, especially when we want to play, is Tottenham and Liverpool. I fear those two teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's we've got good players on both sides. Clearly, I mean, and on form, I mean, Tottenham are probably the underdogs going into this match. Given the fact that we haven't had good first half performances for a very long time, barring the match against Crystal Palace, we had a run of 10 games when we've had to come from behind. Even those 10 games, we only won 5 of those. I mean, sorry, we only won 3 of those. So it wasn't quite what's the word? All plain sailing. It's very very difficult stretch for us at that point in time. But I mean, and then we've also had well, most teams have injuries, don't they? I mean, everyone can point to the injury list, but we've kind of, I mean, on a team basis, if you like, had injuries to the likes of Kulishevsky, to Bentancur, to Richarlison, and key players for us, and in key positions as well. Um, some would say that we've got a squad that possibly can have placements, but when you look at the reality, I mean, it hasn't quite happened that way for us from a form perspective for those who've come in and stepped into the shoes of those guys. I mean, if you look at our front three generally, it's usually Kane, Son, and maybe Kulishevsky if you had to choose the front three like that. But you do them, and you also know that if one of them comes up for any reason, right, you got Richarlison, who's also good quality as well, who can come in and or you can rest Son and play Richarlison, or rest Kulusevski and play Richarlison, or play Son. So it gives you that sort of mix to play with. And then in the midfield, from our perspective, I mean, Bentancur is key because I mean, as you know, he's been quite a revelation from since he's joined us, and it hasn't. I mean, unfortunately, um, he has also been injured. Bissouma has come in, and he hasn't quite lit up the Premiership the way he was at Brighton just yet. I mean, some people take time to settle in. Others, I mean, just hit the ground running. I mean, Bentancur more or less hit the ground running when he came in from another league. But you'd expect that with his Premier League experience, Bissouma should have more or less hit the ground running. You guys have only Jesus, haven't you? I mean, as well as the main injury warrior, haven't you?
Well, up till the last match, the FA Cup, yes, it was not only Jesus. We have Jesus and Zizenko, but right now Zizenko is back. But we've been very careful with him, especially with the North London derby coming up and the match against Man U. But I tell you something, this North London derby is going to be a little bit different. I don't see Tottenham sleeping the first half. They will come full blooded because it's a make or match season for them, starting with the North London derby. And they are, it's usually feisty, very, very feisty. And time you have the return of Son, you have the return. In fact, yesterday I was watching on Sky Sport. I saw what's the name? The guy from Juve, the attacking midfielder from Juve training. So there is hope. I think the only person you guys might miss might be Richarlison because I watched the preview, Tottenham training. So everything is gone set. The only fear I have with the guy from Juve, how many minutes is he going to play? How many minutes is he going to play? Because it's not easy to come from injury and do a 90 minutes game.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I know on form, you guys are top of the league. You're playing really well, and I mean, you've more or less blown anyone away. I mean, you haven't lost in God knows how long. The last match you lost was against Man U away to them, and with every game that you win or you draw or you sort of remain top of the league, it gives you much more confidence, and it also puts a lot of pressure on the opposition. But like we know, I mean, one goes out the window. I mean,
That's
in derbies of this nature. And yeah, I mean, from Tottenham perspective, obviously we fear the worst because you expect that, okay, have you guys always want to do well? Anytime you play against us, anyway, it's like a cup final for both teams, you know. So everyone gives their all, you know, and we want to sort of put right, if you like, what happened the last time we guys met at the at the Emirates. I mean, we had well, a few decisions that went against us. The referee standing off Emerson, which I felt was a bit of a tough decision, you know. But hey, you know, these things happen in matches, and you just got to take it on the chin and and move on, you know. However, we have on our end a lot of things to put right, you know. First half performance, we haven't sort of done that very well over a lot of matches. I mean, a bit of an improvement in the last match against Crystal Palace. I mean, first 20 minutes was reasonably good, but then Crystal Palace came into their own and dominated the latter part of the second half. Even though the second half we more or less essentially blew them away, but in a way you might say the scoreline was flattering, right? However, you also, if you watched that match, you probably saw that every time we went forward, we were always very, very dangerous, you know. So I mean, I guess they could have scored as well, you know. But with a team like Arsenal, who they play a mix of, I mean, in the old days, it used to be like pass you to death, you know. As in, I mean, and then hardly ever have shots. But these days, they're actually taking shots, you know. And unlike in the past when you wouldn't even have shots on target, you have plenty of possession, but no shots on target. These days, I mean, you're actually taking plenty of shots as well. So I mean, we used to have this fun of saying death by 1,000 passes, you know. But yeah, I think it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be really, really interesting. What for you are the key battle areas in that match?
Well, I think for the first time coming to your stadium, we will have a fully fit party. You know, for 2 years now, is either Partey didn't come or Partey played with injury and he had to leave the match somewhere. And that has been our key. If you look at all our operation, it's been Partey key to our control. Yes, in the past we used to pass balls, but now we do total control. We press high, which is a dangerous thing to do, but we control the game. And in doing that, we ensure we don't have shots coming to our area. We put the shot into the opposition area. Then the other dicey thing that is going to happen, I don't know how Romario is going to do. You know, people play down uh, in Ketia. For me, I'm beginning to see Iketia, even though what's his name, Jesus was a very dominant player, but Jesus was not an efficient player. Iketia is a very dangerous player, from what I begin to see now, and is only growing in confidence. So I just pray that Nketiah becomes himself, because we've been scoring now heavily due to it. Because we play some matches, we win 1-0. It's just a stroke of luck, most probably a defender, a midfielder putting those balls in the net. But right now, in Ketia, he's actually building himself. But again, the midfield is where the battle is going to be, because you have some very strong midfielder, Hoiberg, you have Umbensuma. If he comes to form in that match, it's going to be very, very tight. Very, very tight. Then, of course, you know, the attack is ever much better than our own attack. So
Yeah, I mean,
that's what.
it's interesting you say that. I mean, but if you look at it, there seems to be a lot of what a lot of people call uh, plenty of reliance on Mr. Kane on our parts, you know, and Kane has been
Not,
scoring.
not,
Sorry.
not just Kane, not just Kane. Son will be quiet for
Yeah,
90
but
for 80 minutes,
I
but he
know,
comes
but
up, you are sitting.
Son hasn't been on form for a long time. He has had a really, really, what am I call it, patchy season. I mean, he's got probably in only two matches this season. I mean, the first time he
The,
scored
the, the Derby
from
game can change
starting.
everything. The
Eh,
Derby game can change everything. 2 years ago, the same thing happened. You remember the game you trashed us 2-0 when
yeah,
Mario was your coach?
yes.
He was not doing well prior to that time. His season started from that North London Derby. So I'm very, very scared of that guy called Kane. I'm more scared of him than even than even Kane. Kane, you can take one on one, you can fight, but Son has speed. Son has acceleration, and his shooting accuracy is something else.
Yeah, so there's, I mean, so from our perspective, I mean, Son hasn't been firing on great on all cylinders. Um, Khrushchevsky, okay, he's had a few matches off, so he may well be match rusty. I mean, not having been playing regularly, you know, so he's that's potentially is something of concern for us. And even if he went off, okay, Brian Hill, okay, he's only coming up with is relatively what I call lightweight, if you like, because he gets to do really short of the ball. He has some nice touches here and there, but he hasn't built up that level of consistency yet that would consider him a top level player just yet. He'll probably get there, but he's not there yet, you know. And that's a bit of a concern from our perspective. I mean, if you look at the battle areas which you mentioned in the midfield, I mean, look, we've got Højbjerg. If Bentancur comes back, that it will be a good addition. But I'm not sure he's even fit or ready to come back just yet. And also we have Bissouma. Bissouma has been okay, but he hasn't been consistent, you know. And you have this young man, Pape Matassa, who is showing um, touches as well. As the few times he's came on the FA Cup, but again, that's against League One opposition. We're talking about the Premier League here, which is a totally different kettle of fish. So I mean, we there's a lot to be to have a bit of trepidation about in this match, and both teams have their trepidation because of course, I mean, you guys fear our attack. I mean, we're not comfortable. We're not too comfortable with what we have, given where things are at the moment. So it should make for a fairly even match. I mean, let's even have a look at the form guide up to now. I mean, I think it's easy for us to say, oh, um, yeah, even though we do say form goes out the window, you know.
So let's forget form because form here doesn't count for anything. I can tell you, form doesn't count for anything. It takes one loss, lack of recovery to lose your form completely. Lack of recovery to lose your form. So what I just pray is a not London derby end to end, from the beginning to the end. People will look at this match at the end of the season to say this is a spectacle. That's the sort of thing I expect. And I know Tottenham, they are always ready. They are always ready against Arsenal. So it's not going to be this guy is going to win this. It's going to be end to end. From the beginning to the end, I see this match because for Tottenham, it is important they do very well in this match. It is important they do because the season has not gone too far. If you really ask me, the season has not gone too far. Once you gain momentum from this match, I think look at last year. You remember what happened when we came to your stadium? That momentum you carried throughout the season. So this is a very crucial match. Very
It is
crucial.
crucial without a doubt. It is very crucial for us. I mean, even for you guys as well, because you come into a run of games which people expect will be difficult for you in this month. You had Brighton the previous month, first match in January, which you came away. I mean, scripted victory. I mean, but hey, a win is a win is a win. You know, at home to Newcastle. Newcastle riding high at the moment. You know, gave you guys a good run for your money. Ended up being a nil-nil draw. Plenty of acrimony with the officiating and all that sort of thing. But ultimately, I think a draw was a fair result in that match. You know, and you guys obviously want to maintain the distance you have between yourself and the chasing pack. You know, and of course the chasing pack obviously want to you know, I mean, close the gap. You know, and for us, it's crucial. I mean, I think a win is more crucial for us than for you guys because you got a cushion of 7 points ahead of the nearest people to you. You know, and
5 points. Five
sorry,
points.
the five.
Five.
Oh, sorry, well,
5 points.
five. Yeah, 5 points. Sorry, you know, and we just need to win. You know, we just need to win to build up momentum again that we've kind of lost before now. If you look at the form, like I said, I mean, I know even the form goes out the window. You guys have won 4 of your last 5 matches. You haven't lost from like the last match you lost was against Man United at the beginning of the
And we
season,
played
which
better.
is
We played
yeah.
better.
And so it's very very important that from our perspective to go into that match and yeah and do really well. I mean it's shaping up to be quite a spectacle, which it always does. You know, I mean all the hype ahead of matches like this always tell you that yes it's going to be good, and some matches you come up away oh it was so drab, everyone was so cagey, and no one was really put their foot down and to the metal. But I think that this one quite tasty.
So, so I tell you what, I tell you what, I think things will change the next couple of years. The North London Derby should not be what will determine how far a team will do. I think what Tottenham is passing through now, we in some years past suffered through that. Those small teams, it is better to take the 3 points home and away from them. When you do that, these other matches will just give you cushion. Just respect yourself, you play, you get a draw, you move ahead. I'm telling you the truth, especially those big 16s. You don't necessarily need to beat them, but flog those small teams because there's no small team anyway in the Premiership. But just
Absolutely.
try.
I was just about to say
Collect.
that there are no more
Yes.
small teams in the Premier
No,
League. You know.
let's look at it. The difference between Tottenham and Arsenal now is the way we dealt with the small teams. If you really look at it, we didn't give the small teams any breathing space this season. But if you look, some of those small teams, you either play a draw or somehow you were very careless, you just get a loss. If you put those things in perspective, your position in the league today would have been stronger than it is now. So
I
going
know.
forward,
Yeah,
yes,
it's leagues are always about should have, could have, might have, but at the end of the day,
yes, yes.
it's what you do on the pitch that matters. I mean,
I agree, I agree, I agree.
if you, I mean, there's so many matches when you look at what happened during the match and you do like a bit of a post-mortem, you think to yourself, we should not have lost that match. A, because somebody gave the ball away in a bad area, or Lloris made an error and gave away a free goal. Look at the match against you guys. Lloris gave you guys like a free goal as well. And then you had that incident where um, Romero was sent off. So I mean, there's so many things you can look back at and say, oh, we could have done better in the course of matches. These things add up over the course of the season. So I guess the key is to have consistency, isn't it?
Yeah, consistency. Because
And
I tell you, if we were not playful against Southampton, the gap would have been wider. You know, we were dominating that game. We did everything. Just the last couple of minutes, we just went. We thought we've won, and those guys just came and scored. And that is what is putting us in this 5 gap. If not, we would have been 8 ahead. So
yeah,
I see. I'm waiting for it. I'm not. I'm waiting to see a spectacle. I'm waiting to see a spectacle because I expect both sides to do
right.
end to end.
Should we hazard a prediction here?
If you ask me, I see a draw.
Okay.
It's a score draw. It can never be a goalless draw. It's going to be a score draw, a 2-2 or a 1-1, but it's going to be bloody. It's going to be bloody.
Yeah, I mean, my heart tells me that it might be a draw. I mean, so my head tells me it might be a draw, but of course I want us to win. But you know how these things are. You just never know how
No,
how
no,
how,
no.
how they're gonna turn out.
It's a prediction. Anything can happen. But
Absolutely.
looking at it and looking at the history, I think even though we've been losing in that play, I think the difference this year will just be Party giving us cushion. If not, without Party, check all the games Party didn't play, we lost.
Yeah, I think
The
Party has been
man,
quite good
yeah,
for you guys. He has been
yeah.
really excellent. I mean, it's been quite a key player for your team. You know.
And we know how to use him now. We don't let him play full 90 minutes anymore. We preserve him. That was the mistake we were doing years gone. We are not preserving. Party is not the Party it was 3 years ago.
Ateta. I mean, a
Ah,
lot of people had. a lot of things to say about Arteta. I mean, a few seasons back, and all of a sudden now is like the stone that was refused has become the cornerstone, hasn't it? You know, it's kind of taking the team from what you might call mediocre to top performers. I mean, in well, okay, maybe he's had about 3 years to do it, you know, but at least he's kept at it, and he's built the team mainly young people, if you like, you know, and the team seems to be like taking up his DNA now, hasn't it?
Yeah, I was one of those. To be candid, I don't know if you could remember. I was one of those who truly believed in him, even when results were not going. I listened to him, and I hear the sort of thing he was talking, and I listened to people close to him. I hear the sort of encouragement they were giving. Yes, you say bias encouragement. I listened to people like Pep, who was warning then that this guy is good, but people will say it because they worked with Pep. But seeing the transformation and the way we were coming, especially towards last season, you see something, you feel something was going to happen. And I fear the worst when he had to deal with Aubameyang and what's the other guy? He was ruthless with Aubameyang, Pepe, and who was that other third guy? Ozil. In fact, I said, "Oh, this guy has pulled the apple cart." But looking back now, I I begin to trust him. I begin to feel he knows what he's doing, and he's beginning to earn the respect of, first of all, let me say the PL managers. Even though we have some naughty people as pundits who still do not believe in him. I know the sort of people I'm talking, the ex-Man U guys, the ex-Liverpool guys who are big pundits. But many of them are eating the awards right now. I think this guy's just had a change of heart. Carrigan, he's been close to Ateta. He's seen a lot of things. But Gary Neville, that one, I don't know the sort of brain he has. But I trust him, and I think he will do. He will do extremely well because I never expected us to be in this phase, and it's looking like we are fast tracking the next phase now. It's no longer bringing small boys into the team. I think after this, if we get this Modric deal, after that is the next phase. Edu talked about is we'll be getting established players. I don't know whether you've been hearing the mills around the Sevisic, that guy in I think Lazio, or even Declan Rice. They are ready to put their hands now to get somebody more experienced to blend with those young boys. And the young boys are growing in bounds. If you look at Martinelli, I think he's had his best game in the Premiership this season. If you look at Saka, he's got his best game this season. Then a number nine who will not complain, who is striving. If you can get too big number nine, then you have a problem in your hand. If you look at West Ham, for example, you have Antonio, you have this other guy. Those two are big guys. They can't stay in a team for too long. But when you have somebody, okay, you say his average is this, but he's getting you when he comes in, he fills the gap. So I think Ateta, I think the only thing sometimes one of the things I don't really like is his temper. He has temper like a coach. I think he has to control his temper, but I think he has the brain, football brain, and he's surrounded by very good people, ex Arsenal players, Edu, Metaseka, um, which drives well.
Yeah, I mean, if I mean talking about managers, I mean I know we spoke about Teta, and I mean we also have our own what I call internal politics going on at the moment because you have, I mean, there's plenty of discontent. I mean, if you've read the news, anyone's been complaining, or there has been a lot of what you might call vociferous protests, if you like, about what they perceive of as lack of investment in the footballing side of the team. And I mean, as fans, fans always want to win, and they want to win every match if possible. As far as they're concerned, I don't think that the board is their hand in their pocket to support Conte whether they should. And but I think for me that's probably a little bit of being economic with truth because I think if you look at what the board has done to get us to where we are now, the limited resources that we have without having a sugar daddy like the likes of the Liverpools, the Man U's, the cities and Chelsea's of this world. I mean, I think we've done extremely well given where we are. I mean, and given the limited resources that we have at our disposal and the way they've kind of managed those investments. Of course, I mean things are bound to suffer, but I mean you you then find rumors of Qataris coming in, bringing a bit of an investment. Whether or not that's going to happen, who knows? However, I mean I think Conte sort of signed himself to the fact that look, he's got a job to do, and I think he's doing a reasonably decent job so far. I mean, of course, the areas where we could, we haven't been hurt by injuries in some areas, but by and large, I think the trajectory looks to be positive, and if we can build on that for the rest of the season, I think what what I always say to people is this, right? You only hear discontent when you lose matches. You
Yeah,
know?
that's true.
Anytime you
That's
win
true.
matches, everything just goes out the window. So
But let me say something. Sometimes Conte speaks the truth. If you remember before the first North London derby, I told you three things, three areas: your fullbacks and your goalkeeper. If you remember very well, I mentioned you need to revamp, and it's showing. You can't. Nobody says the three will come one day, but you have to prioritize. For me, even before the goalkeeper, the two fullbacks, change them, get young and promising people who grow exponentially over time. There are a lot of young stars, just like we captured Saliba. If you go to France and you go to Germany, you get those guys. I'm not saying young 19, 18. I'm not saying so 23. If you really, really need to do, Indica is going to be a free agent. Put pressure. It's your negotiation with him. You understand? It's a tall, towering center half. The guy is just there for the taking. They should support him. Let them get him, and you can talk about a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers is not much of a problem because you can get goalkeepers. Um, Look at the way we got Turner. Turner is not, but he's a good goalkeeper. So I think his cry is not just crying. The man knows what he's talking about, and I think to some extent, once in a while, Levy should just try to support him. For me, you wouldn't believe this. When I was growing up, I'm just telling you now, when I was growing up, it was Tottenham I was supporting. You wouldn't know this. When the time you had those Argentines in Tottenham, they were my main people. That's why till today I still follow them. I still follow their progress and what they do. This guy now, I think he's an advisor in the team. What's his name? What's his name? So basically, in as much as I support Arsenal, to some extent, I like to see certain things happening over there because as a child, when you won the FA Cup, I was there. When you did, there are a lot of great players that have come out of Tottenham. A lot of great players. I have respect for them. So yes, I'm an Arsenal fan, but at the same time, Tottenham shouldn't be where they are currently.
it's interesting you say that. I mean, not that many folks would admit to ever supporting Tottenham at certain point in their life. But hey, I guess it's one of those things that's it's a reality. I mean, it's interesting, but I'm also pretty sure that not a lot of the folks want to hear about your love for us and the fact that you admire us in any way, shape, or form. But hey, kudos to you. I mean, one of the things about football is that, and which is one of the reasons, I mean, I kind of have a lot of respect for you as well because you always sort of, first and foremost, like you always say, you're a football man. And because you're a football man, you always tell it as it is, and yeah, which is really, really admirable. But yeah, I mean, thanks for that. Thanks for those kind words. I mean, I have never supported Arsenal. I hope never to. But hey, that's me. But yeah, thank you so much. It's been fantastic having you. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you again. And I'd like to say I wish you all the best for this match, but sadly I can't because of course I want Tottenham to win. Yeah, but may the best team win, and of course that team um, will be us. I hope. Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you very soon. In the meantime, come on, you Spurs.